This video is going to walk through some best practices to follow when sending an email to either one of your teachers or any staff in the building or even your classmates. Over the last few years, email communication has grown, and a lot of students still use email like a text message or some sort of direct message on social media, but we need to make sure that we're sending emails professionally and appropriately when communicating about anything to do with school. So we're going to just walk through some of the basics of an email to begin with. So first of all, the to. This should be pretty straightforward. This is who you are sending your email to. A couple of the other pieces in that to line are CC and BCC. Many students don't know what these are or how to use them or why to even use them. So the CC is going to allow you to add another person to the email, but it's not the person necessarily that you are directing the message to. For instance, if you and a friend are both working on your English class and you have no idea how to complete an assignment, you would send an email to your teacher, but in order for your friend to also see those questions and see the responses that the teacher sends back to you, you could CC your friend on that email, and then your teacher would understand that the response should go back to both of you. Instead of the teacher having to respond to each of you individually, the teacher can now just send one email and you'll both be able to see the responses. The BCC acts in a similar way, but it's a blind copy. So the person you're sending the message to is not going to be able to see that that other person is copied on the email. Some students use this function if they are CCing their parents on the email. If your parent says to you, please make sure you email your teacher this question, and you're showing your parents, look, I did send that email, you could always use that blind CC function in order to show your parents, but it's not necessarily needing a response back to them from the teacher. The next thing is the subject line. This is an important feature that many of us forget about. When you are sending an email to your teacher, you definitely want to use a subject. If it's a blank subject line, sometimes that email can go to spam. Sometimes a teacher just might overlook it because there's no urgency in why a teacher should look at this email with no subject line. This should be a preview to what you are talking about in the email. Sometimes students write the entire email message in the subject line. That's not best practice either. You want to make sure you're just giving your teachers enough information in that subject line that your teacher would open the email, but then you still have the content in the body of the email. Another thing you want to make sure you don't do is put all caps, urgent, please read now, or something like that. Those can also be flagged as spam, or your teacher might not understand why you are putting such an urgent message in the subject line. For the most part, your message is probably not that urgent. You might just need a question answered. So you're going to want to put really specific information in that subject line. Next would be your greeting. As I talked about at the beginning, an email is not a text message and an email is not a social media post. An email should be professional and appropriate to whoever you are sending the email to. So here are different greetings for what we normally get from students versus what we would want to get from a student. So greetings like hey or hi aren't terrible, but they're also not professional when you're sending an email to one of your teachers or another staff member. Obviously, the other ones 3 through 7 are not acceptable at all, but definitely things that teachers still get today. We would like to see a greeting like maybe your teacher's name, or maybe you're addressing all of your teachers. If you're absent one day, you're just going to send one email to every teacher, so you'd just say teachers. Good morning or good afternoon are always acceptable. Hello teachers, hello teacher, dear teachers, dear teacher, any of those would be acceptable. So a few tips for your greeting or your intro of your email. For the first few weeks, it's going to be a good idea to remind your teacher who you are and what class you're in. You would want to do this in your first line of the email. So, hi, my name is Jimmy. I'm in your second hour class. Once you put your greeting, you're going to want to enter down once. So, dear Mrs. Momenteller, enter, hi, this is Jimmy from your second hour English class. And then remember, you want to remain professional throughout your greeting and throughout your entire email. This is best practice not just for teachers and staff members, but to your other classmates as well. So we're going to look at two different emails here. What I want you to pay attention to is the body of the email. Look at the body of this email versus the body of this email. One of the things you might notice is this is one big chunk of text. There are multiple different questions. There are multiple different pieces of information in this body that are all just in one big paragraph chunk. This is not a very readable email. The information in these two emails is the exact same. This one is a lot more difficult to read just at a glance versus this one. Best practice for emails is no more than 2 to 3 sentences per paragraph before you enter down and start a new paragraph. So again, the information is the same. You can just see here we have multiple different sentences all in one paragraph versus here we stick to that 2 to 3 buffer. Okay, so as we can see in that top paragraph, this is Jimmy Smith from your second hour English 2 class. That gives the teacher information about you right away. When you are asking your teacher about information that you missed from class, it's important to give them specifics. What day did you miss? What class did you miss? I missed class on Thursday, August 27th. This way your teacher can go back directly to his or her assignment, wherever they keep their assignments, in a notebook or on a Google Doc or on an agenda, and give you that really clear information. This just makes the process a lot easier for your teachers. They don't have to go through an attendance list and see when you missed. They can just find that information really easily because you're giving it to them right in that email. If you email your teachers the day you are absent, you can say, I was absent today. What did I miss? Additionally, you want to ask whatever other questions you have in that email in a separate paragraph. So the first paragraph we end with, can you please tell me what I missed? Well, now the student also has a question about an assignment that he's working on currently. So the second paragraph talks about that other assignment. You can see in the second sentence, it says, is there a day this week that we could do a Google Meet? Or are there other resources on Canvas that might help me with this assignment? Those are two very specific questions. You're not just saying, help, I don't get it. You are asking your teacher a specific question that he or she can respond to. One of the things that streamlines your emails to your teachers for you is creating some sort of closing and signature line. This ensures that on every email that you send, your information is on there so that your teachers know who you are. So we're going to briefly walk through how to create your signature line. So from your email, you're going to go ahead and click on settings. When you click on settings, this box is going to pop up on the right-hand side here. You want to go ahead and click on see all settings. Once you click on that, it's going to take you to a page that looks like this. You're going to scroll down until you find signature. Once you find signature, you will have a blank box. Mine isn't blank because I've already set mine up, but you are going to type into that box. You can change the font, you can bold it, you can make it a different color, anything like that. But what I would recommend is putting your first and last name in the grade that you are in. This is going to help narrow down the information for your teacher if you forget to put what class you're in. If you put Jimmy Smith, sophomore, I can go back and say, okay, this student is probably in my second hour English 2 class because most of the time sophomores are in English 2. So if you forget to put that information in your email for your teacher, that just helps them narrow it down a little bit more. And then when you open up a new email, this information is automatically populated in that email for you. So again, it's just another thing to streamline and kind of cut down on time for you. It auto fills that for you, something that you don't have to think about, and that information is there for your teacher. So again, this is just best practice for sending emails. Your teachers will appreciate it. It will help cut down on the back and forth between you and your teachers. If you can put all of that necessary information in that first email, your teachers won't have to respond with so many questions, and you can get that information a little bit faster. And again, just to remember that this is a professional setting. This is a professional form of communication. This is not a text message. So keep these things in mind when you're emailing your teachers, your classmates, or any other staff members in the building.